More than 70 leaders in government, business, and various branches of the financial sector shared their insights on important issues at the Asian Financial Forum, which took place in Hong Kong on the 16th and 17th of January. Discussion covered global issues, but for the most part focused on the Asia-Pacific region. Some 1,800 leaders and other influential people from 32 countries and regions gathered at the two-day financial summit, discussing global investment prospects, China opportunities, and sustainable growth initiatives. Mr. Joe Lee, publisher and editor-in-chief of China Daily Asia Pacific, a media sponsor of AFF, welcomed the participants. The two-day gathering featured a workshop sponsored by China Daily entitled China and Asia, Global Business Partnership. Senior executives, regional policymakers, and scholars at the workshop exchanged views on how Chinese companies and their Asian peers can work together to elevate their market positions, not only in Asia, but also in major markets including the US and Europe. They also shared their insights on macroeconomic issues worldwide, with particular emphasis on China.
The major source of growth of trade in Asia in the next few years will be coming from Southeast Asia, South Asia, Middle East, Africa, and Latin America.
There are 7 countries eyed by the world's biggest transnational corporations as potentially very important countries to invest.
Great danger. A lot of debates in US and in Europe, they're not going anywhere in terms of improving the global institutions.
And ASEAN growth have been quite strong, but of course a lot of investment actually gone through Hong Kong, because Hong Kong is actually the platform for channeling investment to the rest of the region.
Much of which is completely unnatural to the way trade and investment tend to flow in Asia, used to flow, and will now again begin to flow.
After the discussion, China Daily interviewed the panelists separately.
My belief is China is not going for hard landing, not even a soft landing, because I think the Chinese economy is still flying. I think the West, to a large extent, is too pessimistic about China on the basis of 2 grounds. One is the external environment in the United States, in Europe, and therefore a decreasing demand for Chinese products. But I thought that could be well compensated for by the increased consumption and the domestic demand in China. I'm more optimistic than most other observers, and I don't think we are going to have a hard landing in China.
China should become the leader, in forming the new international trading order and systems. So in the sense that I think China, as a big country, and also a country with a system, which has much longer perspectives. For example, China has a 5-year plan. China even have a 10-year plan, right? So I think China, at least for a while, today, we can actually think long term, better than other, countries which are under tremendous pressure of, local elections.
I think what you saw is that I think the yuan exchange rate, I think it's more a two-way market right now, because I think in the sense that there are buyers and sellers, and also it's also an evolution of the market as well, that from a very young market to be growing to be maturity. So I think investors will have to have their own outlook in terms of whether they see the RMB going to appreciate or going to depreciate. My own view is that long-term RMB will continue to appreciate on a steady basis. So I think that will certainly not affect the internationalization of the RMB process, because we are talking about more than just a currency, Because I think you're talking about really how to use the RMB offshore in outside China, in terms of trade, in terms of investment, in terms of funding, in terms of finance. So I think that's really a bigger picture in terms of internationalization. I think the process will continue.
It will help because it's the basis on which ASEAN can sort of really integrate better with the Chinese economy. Frankly, the engine of growth is going to be, in Asia, globally is China, right? And the formation of the economic community will actually help that boost the engagement of ASEAN with China. How? One of the ways is the rise of regional champions. You need larger ASEAN origin companies, right, that source regionally, that tap regional economies of scale, tap regional talent, right, and that'll be sort of, it creates a better basis for engagement. You have greater equality in terms.
At the conclusion of the workshop, China Daily presented panelists and guests with its newly released book, Reflections, Asian Leaders Speak Their Minds. The book salutes 32 extraordinary individuals and brings their inspirational stories together so that they may continue to play a role encouraging future generations. The book stands as an enduring record of the new Asian leadership.